So dudes, you might be under the impression that FPS aim is some kind of innate talent that you need to be blessed by the skibbity gods in order to have this coveted ability. I promise you that this is not the case. While there are certainly observable levels of mechanical talent, and we do see that, nobody is cursed, nobody is fated to be dog meat at FPS aiming. I believe that with enough time and enough patience, anybody can get to a serviceable level. In this video, I'm going to explain why you have Papega aim and what you can do to fix it. So here are my main points. Number one, you don't know your aiming comfort zone. We're going to figure that out. Two, your ergonomics are bad, and we'll fix that. Three, if you practice, you probably practice the wrong way. Four, you might think talent means everything. And five, your crosshair placement stinks, and I'll help you fix that. For a while, I've talked to you about the Ridge wallet, the neatly packed, slim wallet that fits in your front pocket and saves up a lot of space. But how much space are you saving up in your purse? Your girlfriend's wallet? All right, I don't know how to put this in a way that, here's our target demographic, okay? They play Rainbow Six. They don't have girlfriends. No, I don't think that question's appropriate. I do like the blue one. I think it's cool. Cool. No, I didn't say anything else. No, I said cool. I did not say cute. Nope. Roger. I did not say that. So these cool wallets in pretty little pastel colors. Monochromatic ceramic powder finish. If you're not already familiar with how a Ridge wallet works, two pieces like this strapped together with an elastic band. Card goes in the middle. Bada bing, bada boom. In this case, there is a money clip on the back. Ridge products are made of solid materials and have a lifetime warranty as a result of that. Shop the holiday sale on styles like this one by going to my link in the description, gregyt.com/Gregor, and you can get up to 30% off your order through December 20th. Also, if you use my link, you can enter your email/SMS for a free chance to win a Ridge bundle worth $4,000. No purchase necessary. Look how easy that is to pack for the holidays. As always, big thanks to Ridge for sponsoring this video. Nice. All right, so point number one. You don't know your comfort zone. So aiming in an FPS game, in my experience, is something that is greatly overcomplicated. Your aim's probably not as bad as you think. What you may be struggling with more is the actual process of taking a gunfight. So to elaborate on what I'm talking about, I'll tell you a story. So I've got a pretty lanky build. I'm 5'10", long-ass arms. And in high school, I was in gym class, and we're all standing around waiting on the teacher to tell us what the lesson plan is that day. He'd let us get loose and warm up a little bit with some basketball. And I was standing around without a side of the court to play at because I sucked at basketball. I was no good. But I did a good job of tricking everybody into thinking I was for a second. So I'm over here bing chilling, right? Teacher's like, "Ayo, you gotta do something." I'm like, "I suck." He's like, "Just do free throws." So I walk over to a net and I kind of stand around a little bit more. And then the ball comes my way after it bounces off the backboard. And then I sink the free throw. All right, that was easy. Now one of the kids is like, "You won't do it again." And then I do it again. And now everybody's confused because the Harry Potter looking twink in a rugby shirt just made the easiest penalty shots ever. So we play an actual pickup game, and it's made very clear that I have no business going in the paint or trying to make high pressure shots. But every once in a while, I get the ball handed off to me. I can make some shots on the outside. I can use my long ass arms to help with the rebounds, to block. So it becomes clear to everybody what my role is on the team. And as long as I was given free shots, I was good. But as soon as I had to do anything else, I got my ankles broken. That's still kind of how I play FPS games now. But I've been getting out of my comfort zone. I've been playing a lot of the new Call of Duty, and I've been using the movement in that a lot. So that's cool. When I played comp, when I did Go Force, I was on Flank Watch. And in some cases, even during the utility simulator, I played Cali. Cali actually got a little bit of mileage back in the utility simulator. Not a lot of people know that. So why am I telling you about my stuff? So the point is, if you're saying I suck at aiming, that's not productive, because I sucked at aiming. If you want to get better, you got to look at how the nature of things work and isolate the variables that you know are better than the other ones. You have components of your FPS play that are better than others. Now, they could all make a bad picture in your head, but you do have comfort zones. Maybe you feel better when you're initiating the gunfight. You like to get up close. You like to use movement to evade your opponent. That's the opposite of what I do. I don't play like that. I play in the back. I like having distance. I like using scopes. I have long elf-looking fingers. I aim with my fingers a lot. A lot of people, they use their wrist more. They use their arms more. I'm more comfortable making fine-tuned, razor-thin, precise adjustments. That's how I like to play FPS games. For long-distance fights, the target is smaller, but it moves slower. It's not crossing my field of vision at the same rate, unless I'm scoped in. If it's close, it's a big target, but it moves faster because my field of vision is limited. It's a cone projected out in front of me. And it's easier to cross that threshold. I have to turn my body to keep up. And this game of perspective is where the playstyles of FPS games emerge. This is that spectrum, aggressive to passive. So find where you are, then isolate that part of your gameplay you feel most comfortable in. Do you want to play a little more aggro? Do you want to play more passive? Or do you like it somewhere in the middle? This is super important because it's going to affect your decision making and your positioning. And it'll help you anticipate where to put your crosshair. And eventually it'll become second nature to you. So that's number one. Find your comfort zone and stick to it for now. All right. So we're going to step away from the FPS theory here and just talk about your desk, your equipment, your surroundings. So number two, your ergonomics probably suck. If your desk looks like this, you got to stop. This is a very common thing to overlook. I've seen crazy pictures. This isn't that bad. I've seen twice as bad. I like to keep a relatively tidy space. One of the reasons I think your space and your ergonomics are important is that when we start talking about aiming in FPS games, we get into a situation where we're making an argument for a low sensitivity. And if we're going to play on low sensitivity, you're going to move your mouse around a lot. Obviously, you don't want to smack your mouse into something. So give your mouse pad all the space you can. I have a pretty big FU-sized mouse pad, so I need that space because I play on low sensitivity. You don't need a big FU-sized mouse pad. You don't need to play on low sensitivity. I would recommend, regardless of your sensitivity, keep your desk relatively clear. Also, it's your gamer station, man. Like, it's just nice to have a clean space. So you've probably seen memes like this of gamers with the craziest ergonomics. They're like 2 inches away from the monitor, burning out their retinas. You don't need to do any of that. Some people tilt their keyboard. I've seen Uzi, for instance. He tilts it completely sideways like this. The reason people do this is to give themselves space to swipe their mouse. Posture and all that kind of comes down more to your personal health. I'm not a great example talking about that, but the general science is sitting a lot is bad. So you want to sit up straight. You want to have your arms and wrists straight if you can help it. The top of your computer monitor should be at about eye level. That way you don't have to tilt your head down. You keep your neck and your back straight. I lean in a little when I'm sweating. Everybody does it. This isn't a biology class, right? So you know who you are. But what is most important about this is the actual motion is going to feel a lot smoother. So if you have a chair with armrests, what I like to do is adjust the height of my armrest to make it in line with my arms as they face flat against the desk. This lets me pivot almost entirely with my elbow for big motions. And then I can fine tune it with my wrist and my fingers for smaller motions. So my shoulders have pretty much no involvement here. It's all elbow, wrist, and fingers. So you might aim completely different. You might want to use your elbow almost entirely, or your shoulder, or your fingers, or your wrist, or any combination of the four, to varying degrees. So just think of how you physically aim. Like, what do I aim with? Do I aim with my wrist? Do I aim with my elbow? Like, what joints do you fixate on more than others? Just think about that for a second. And then once you know, try to make that as comfortable as possible. If your monitor stand takes up a ton of space on your desk, consider getting a monitor arm. They free up space on your desk and you can position your monitor however you like. Now, we can talk about all this and then you can still fry people on a setup like this. You probably have been fried by a kid on a setup like this. So let's get into that part. All right, number 3, practice. So there's a lot of misconceptions about what practicing looks like. The reality is a lot of people don't practice FPS aim any more than a lot of people don't really practice free throws unless they are an athlete. They just play a lot of basketball and then they're good at the shooting part just kind of as a circumstance. But if that's a skill that you're starting out at 0 with and you want to acquire, there are ways to do that. It's important before you start playing grid shot for an hour, though, that you understand that mechanical aim is not the same thing as game sense. Okay? Please understand that. Okay? Because I made this mistake. You're not going to get better at basketball by doing nothing but free throws. You get better at basketball by doing everything that happens in between the shooting parts. Now, obviously, you can't play if you can't shoot, so let's get into that. So aim trainers, do they work? Do they not work? I hear mixed input on these. Some pros swear by them. Some pros don't use them at all. Some exceptionally skilled players swear by them. Some exceptionally skilled players think they're a waste of time. You have to answer that question for yourself. Why do you die in Siege? Think about it for a moment. When you die the most in Siege, how is it happening? Do you die when you're looking at somebody, right? You're in the middle of a gunfight. You're aiming towards them, but you just lose the gunfight. Or are you getting shot in the back or the side a lot? If it's more of the former, you're probably putting yourself in good positions to get picks. You just need follow through. But if you're constantly getting caught off guard, that's an awareness thing, not an aiming thing. So if you know it's an aiming thing, how do you get to baseline? The reality is you can get to baseline by just playing the game a lot. There's no magic cure-all here. Play, play, play. You'll kind of get into the flow of it. But if you want to see a certain kind of improvement over time, you can certainly do aim trainers. For Siege, exercises I would recommend are precision exercises, right? Small targets, fine-tuned motor movements for headshots. Do not spend an hour doing grid shot, tile frenzy. Stop. You're going to hurt your wrist, one, and you're not going to have a precise shot. You'll be able to flick, but you're not going to be able to hit what you're flicking at. So, good example in Kovacs is one wall, 6 targets small. You can go into the shooting range and practice hitting dummies from far away. There are a million different ways to do it, but the key takeaway is you will get to where you want to be at a certain rate based on how much you put into it. If you're comfortable taking your time with it, you can mess around in the shooting range for like 5 minutes a day. You can do 30 minutes a day. But the key, in my experience, is to do it at least every day, at least a little bit. It's just like any other skill. So point number 4, this is a mindset tip. So you think talent means everything. I know a lot of people that get caught up with this idea that being good at a video game or having a certain baseline of skill in a video game is inherent, and trying to get past a certain natural point of talent is cringe or whatever, right? There's no winning when it comes to this new equivalent of the console war that we've made up now. We have competitive versus casual gaming. It used to be Xbox versus PlayStation. Now it's competitive versus casual. And it almost feels like putting in effort in a video game, depending on the circles that you're talking to, makes you characteristically uncool, makes you a dork or a loser. The only people that are allowed to be good at video games are people who are naturally talented at them. And even then, they're still losers because they're playing a video game. Even though, you know, most of the people who say this stuff are people who log hundreds of hours in the video game. It's a hobby. Okay, people invest time into hobbies. We don't get mad at somebody for spending hundreds of hours fine-tuning their Warhammer 40k army. Okay, we don't get mad at somebody for spending thousands of dollars on their car or model trains. Right? There's so many hobbies that we could say this is a waste of time. But I have news for you. If you have over 100 hours in Rainbow Six Siege, you are one of us. I'm sorry. Welcome to the community. This is the community. People treat it like a sport. You can play a sport for fun. You can play basketball with your buddies at the gym. That's playing a sport for fun. It's an activity. It's a competition. It's a game. Chess is a sport, right? It's considered a sport by the International Olympic Committee. Do not let people gatekeep you out of anything. Don't let toxic weirdos in ranked stop you from wanting to get good at Siege, from wanting to learn the game. Okay, don't let jealous nerds who are mad because they can't keep up do that either. There is a healthy middle ground. If you derive pleasure from the competition of this game, that is okay. That is the point. It's to combine strategy with tactics. It's to push your thinking skills to the limit in the context of an FPS game. That's what makes it appealing. So this didn't have much to do with aiming, but has a lot more to do with mindset. And I think that's important too. All right, my final point. So, crosshair placement. Now, I could make a whole video about crosshair placement, but it's not going to do that well, which is why it's at the end of this video. So, let me let you depart with a few good habits for aiming. If you're conscientious of these habits, you will feel like you're playing a completely different game. I promise you. So, this is an FPS game. It's not real life. You want to look with your aiming point. You want to maximize the efficiency of your movement. If you want to look somewhere on your screen, you aim your mouse, you aim your crosshair to that thing you want to look at. Don't aim at the ground. Don't aim at the ceiling. You ever been playing with your friends and you're all dead and you get on the POV of the random who's just kind of looking around at nothing and your buddies start laughing? Why are they laughing at this person? Because they're assholes, right? Maybe it's because they're assholes, but also this guy isn't looking at anything. So when you say you're not looking at anything in the context of an FPS game, that means not having your crosshair pointed in the direction of a potential enemy. Now, when everyone is looking at nothing and somebody comes around a corner and hits a big flank, your teammate goes, what are we doing? No one was looking at small bake. Well, why weren't you looking at small bake? Right now, I have good news and bad news about the situation. Okay, I'll start with the bad news. The bad news is it's your fault. Okay, but the good news is it's your teammates' faults too. Okay, it's everybody's fault. You're all idiots. Okay, it's a team-based game. Ask someone, hey, someone watch small bake. Tell someone, hey, I am watching small bake. Then point your crosshair like this. This is a typical pixel peek. You're leaning into the direction that they would be peeking you from, right? So if they are moving towards the left side of your screen, you lean towards the right and hold the angle like this with the cover to your left. And then you reverse it for the other way around, right? To look at something, that means you're pointing your crosshair at that position. In this example, I am not looking at small bake. I am looking at the wall. I'm not looking at small bake. Don't call I'm looking at small bake when you're not looking at it. Now I'm looking at small bake. And I'm not just looking at small bake when I'm aiming like this. I'm looking directly at my crosshair. My eyes are as fixed on my crosshair as possible. Baseball players, you understand this because when you were a kid, your coach always said, keep your eye on the ball. Makes sense now, right? You could have skipped this whole part of the video if you played baseball and I explained it that way. Exact same concept here. When you look at what you are shooting at, you are looking at your crosshair. You want to know why Captain works in high elo? Dude, these guys are, why this idiot not look down, right? Oh, these guys are pro players. Why don't they look down? Because this behavior, what I just described to you, this focus, that takes up mental bandwidth. Your concentration takes up mental bandwidth. This is why the game kind of gives people anxiety, right? It's not easy. There's a lot of things you have to pay attention to at once. But if you're trying to hit a shot, look at your crosshair. Look at what you're aiming at. Do this for 5 minutes in the shooting range. I promise you it will feel like you're playing it differently, right? When you're looking at this, now you're looking at small bake. It doesn't mean I am looking at it with my eyeballs like on my computer monitor, right? You are, but you also need to look at it with your mouse. When you drive, you look at the road, but you have to check your speedometer and your mirrors occasionally, right? The same concept. Your default stance is eyes fixed at dead center of your screen. Occasionally you glance at other things. You see something to flick to, line it up, boom, right? That's a quick motion. Guys, I love talking about this kind of stuff. If a nerd like me can get to baseline with these kinds of games, I promise you, you can boil it down to these components and you can do it too. I was not gifted at sports. I was good for a kid. At a certain point, I knew that just wasn't me. But I found out really quickly that all it takes is time and patience. And that's why your aim sucks and why it won't in the future now that you've watched this video. So if you guys learned something, give it a like. Let me know what the most valuable tip was in the comments below. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Good luck out there. Deuces.